So it's almost time for round 4 of the Six Nations, and in terms of fantasy, I think this is probably one of the toughest rounds to pick from. The fixtures just seem so close and tight. I really truly believe that each team playing against each other could go either way, so for predictions wise, my head is scrambled. You've got Italy-Wales to start off, and to be fair, they're pretty tight competition at the moment. Definitely a wooden spoon decider for the Six Nations, so this game is definitely going to be a cracker, especially what happened last year. England-France, Le Crunch is always a tight game. France have dipped a little bit, but they are still second in the world. England are on the rise and are starting Marcus Smith. So can't wait for that one, let's see how it goes. And finally, you've got Scotland versus Ireland. Scotland are on a real high at the moment, but so are Ireland, #1 in the world, and they've got Johnny Sexton back. Let me know your score predictions down in the comments, but I've also got my sponsor for this Six Nations in Fanzo, so if you do like predicting and want to win free prizes, download Fanzo, join the JG Rugby League, and put your predictions in there. So without further ado, let's see my team for round 4. So in the front row, I've gone for Fischetti, Sheehan and Genge. So starting off with Fischetti, he's actually the highest performing prop in fantasy so far, which to me is pretty crazy. Over 20 tackles, but also made I think around 100 metres so far, which is pretty nuts. Average of 35 points a game, so a really solid option. And against Wales, I think he's a really good pick. Dan Sheehan, obviously coming back from injury, but he started the Six Nations absolutely hitting the ground running, and also he's Ireland's, I think, main ball carrier in terms of definitely in that front row. Also can get on driving mauls as well, which is what I really like about hookers. Then Ellis Genge, captain in England for the first time this weekend. He's also one of the best performing props, just below Fischetti in fantasy, so another really good option there. If England are to win against France, then it'll be probably down to Genge's energy and ball carrying, to be honest. So I think I'm pretty safe with these 3 picks. Let me know though down in the comments. So in the second row, I've followed suit really from my props, going for the top 2 props in fantasy. Again, I've gone with pretty high second rows as well. Starting off with Flamand, he is the best performing second row in fantasy so far in the first 3 rounds. Almost 50, averaging 50 points. So for a second row, that's absolutely amazing. And obviously with line-out steals now getting really good points and turnovers, I think the second row option isn't a dead pick anymore. It's really, really viable. Second to that is Lorenzo Canone, absolutely smashed it last round, well over 60 points. Playing 8, but a second row in the game, so it's a huge trick. For some reason they haven't changed it, but for us fantasy players, it's brilliant. Now onto the back row, where I actually found it really tricky to pick. I have stuck with Caelan Doris and also Lewis Ludlam, and also brought in Jack Morgan, who starts again for Wales. Starting off with Doris, I think it's just a no-brainer pick really. It was a toss-up between him or Van der Fleer. Almost put Van der Fleer in, to be honest, as well. But I wanted to use my Ireland picks elsewhere. Caelan Doris, Six Nations player of the tournament, if he has another great 2 rounds. So, look, I think it's a no-brainer. Lewis Ludlam has also been a really top-performing back row. He's just below Caelan Doris in terms of average fantasy points, averaging around 50 points a game. Against France, his collisions, both in defence and attack, are going to be really key. If England do win, he's going to be centred to that, and he also plays near enough 80 minutes every game, which is absolutely crazy for the amount of work that he gets involved in. Then finally, Jack Morgan. Only played 2 games so far, was dropped, I think it was last round, for some strange reason. I think he's actually been Wales's, or one of Wales's best players through this rough patch, especially in the autumn. Also has really good opportunity to pick up tries. He loiters around the touchline as a back row, so when Wales do sling the ball wide, then he'll be there to hopefully crash over and get you some good points. Now onto the halfbacks, and I have stuck again with Dupont and Russell. So following suit, best scrum half and best fly half in terms of average points in fantasy, which is exactly why I've stuck with both of them. So look, Dupont, always mention it, but World Player of the Year calibre. I was looking at bringing in Rhys Webb, who is starting for the first time in I think about 6 years in the Six Nations for Wales, which is a pretty crazy start in itself against Italy, but how can I not pick Dupont? He's done really well for me, over 40 points each game, which I think is actually pretty good, and against England, which I think is going to be a pretty vital game for France. So if he clicks, then France will win. Finn Russell, really tough game against Ireland, but it's at Murrayfield, so I do have a little bit more sway towards Russell. I was almost picking Sexton because he's obviously back, so it's actually a toss-up between Russell and Sexton, but Russell has outperformed every fly half in the game so far, which I guess is why I've picked him. If you want a safe option, I would probably pick Sexton. He's probably going to guarantee you, what, 40 odd points, but Russell does have that opportunity to get, what, like 90 points as we saw in round 2. So I have stuck with Russell, but let me know down in the comments who you're going with. Also, Marcus Smith, really good option. So next up in the centres, I have stuck with Ollie Lawrence and Hugh Jones. So Ollie Lawrence, really top performer in the last 2 rounds. He is up against Jonathan Donty, however, which I was almost close to picking, but I have stuck with Lawrence just because he has had such a good last 2 rounds and is obviously in form, whereas Donty is just coming back from an injury. Hugh Jones is obviously a class player, but he is up against Ireland, which is a really tough fixture. I was looking at bringing in one of the Welsh pairing in Hawkins or Grady, but I think Hugh Jones, also like Lawrence, is on form at the moment, so if Scotland can bring it against Ireland, then I think he'll be key. Now for the back 3, which I'm pretty excited about. So I've gone with James Lowe, Hugo Keenan and Liam Williams. So as you can see, I've captained James Lowe. Really irritated that I didn't actually captain him last round. I did have him in my team, but yeah, he scored a phenomenal amount of points, and yeah, I just captained the wrong Irish player, unfortunately. But this time, hopefully he does the same and gets so many involvements against Scotland. Van der Merwe was quiet last round, so I'm hoping that James Lowe can quiet him down again. Hugo Keenan, on the other hand, I've stuck with him as well. Just like Doris and Lowe, really top contender for player of the tournament, so I really do hope he continues that. He just seems to be like a really good basic skill player. He doesn't do anything fancy, but gets involved in the game loads and is also one of the top performers in fantasy in terms of points scored, so a really good option here. Now, a bit of a strange pick, all you might think, in Liam Williams. I've picked a Welsh back 3 player just because they're against Italy. If they are to change things around Wales and get out of their bad form, then I think this is the game to do it. So that's why I've gone with Liam Williams. He has experience. It was a toss-up between him and Rio Dyer, but I have gone with Williams because just like the rest of the back 3, he gets loads of involvements. So I'm hoping for that again, and hopefully he doesn't catch any yellow cards. Now onto my bench, and starting off, super sub is Louis Rees-Zammit. How can you not? The guy had an absolute flyer last round. Some may say it was a fluke, but the guy just seems to get really good points in fantasy. Did get that interception try, which racked his points skyrocketed, but he was in the right place at the right time, and to be fair to him, he does this week in, week out. So that's exactly why I've gone for him. Not sure exactly why he was benched in the first place. I was sure he would actually start, but good for us, we can pick him as a super sub. Other super sub options I was looking at was the likes of Henry Arundel and also Owen Farrell. Also dropped, but he will come onto the pitch and become captain and probably kick as well. So if they are to turn things around against France in the latter stages of the game, then he could be the key. But also maybe for France, Malvaca, who is a really strong hooker, was really good in the Autumn Nations as well. But let me know down in the comments which super subs you're looking at. I'll be really interested to see. And also, can't forget, got Padovani in there as well. I was running out of budget a little bit and he fit, but is also a really good option. Winger who's been brought in against Wales as well and their home, so I think this could be a really good option too. So that is my team for round 4. As I said at the start, it was really tough. I just think each team could probably beat each other on their day, so really tough in terms of who to pick, but I have gone with this team, probably going to stick with it. I'll let you know if there's any changes. Let me know as always down in the comments your teams. I'll reply and also see if I can take a few pointers from you guys as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching and good luck to everyone for round 4.